I woke up to the sound of my alarm blaring. Groaning, I reached out and turned it off, squinting my eyes against the harsh sunlight streaming through the window. As I sat up, I couldn't shake off a strange feeling that something was off, but I brushed it aside as I got ready for the day. Heading to work, I couldn't shake off the nagging sensation that someone was watching me. Glancing around nervously, I quickened my pace. Suddenly, a man bumped into me, causing my bag to spill its contents onto the ground. "Hey, watch it!" I exclaimed, frustrated. "I'm sorry, miss. Here, let me help you pick those up," the man replied, bending down to retrieve my things. As he handed me back my belongings, our eyes met, and for a moment, I felt a spark of recognition. But before I could say anything, he apologized again and hurried away, disappearing into the bustling crowd. Shaking off the odd encounter, I continued on my way to work. The day passed uneventfully with the usual routine of meetings and paperwork. But when I arrived back home, I noticed something peculiar, a red rose sitting on my doorstep. Curiosity piqued, I cautiously picked up the flower, searching for any clue as to who might have left it there. As I turned it over in my hands, a small note fluttered to the ground. I picked it up and read the message. "Meet me at the park tonight. I have something important to tell you." My heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Who could have left this mysterious note? And what could they possibly want to tell me? Despite my apprehension, I found myself unable to resist the temptation of discovering the truth. That evening, I arrived at the park, my eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of the person who had left the note. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from the shadows and my breath caught in my throat. It was the same man from earlier, the one who had bumped into me. "You," I whispered, unable to contain my surprise. He smiled, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Hello again. I hope you don't mind the theatrics. I wanted to speak to you alone." Confusion washed over me as I tried to make sense of the situation. "Why did you leave the rose and the note? What is this all about?" The man took a deep breath before speaking. "I know this might sound strange, but I'm from the future. I've come back to warn you about a terrible accident that will happen tomorrow." I stared at him, my mind reeling with disbelief. "From the future? That's impossible." "I understand how it sounds," he replied earnestly. "But you have to trust me. If you don't take a different route to work tomorrow, you'll be involved in a car crash. It's crucial that you avoid that route at all costs." My head was spinning, torn between skepticism and a strange sense of trust. Could this man really be telling the truth? I weighed the options in my mind, and despite the absurdity of it all, something told me I should listen. "Okay," I finally said, making up my mind. "I'll trust you, but how can I be sure you're telling the truth?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a newspaper showing me the date, tomorrow's date, along with the headline about a major accident. My heart raced as I realized the gravity of the situation. "Thank you. I'll do as you say." With that, the man nodded and disappeared back into the shadows, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The following day, I avoided my usual route and took an alternate path to work. As I arrived safely, a sense of relief washed over me. Days turned into weeks, and I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder, half expecting the mysterious man from the future to reappear, but he never did. The memory of our encounter faded, and life went on, seemingly normal. Then one day, as I was walking home, I saw a familiar face in the crowd, a face I never expected to see again. It was the man from the future, the one who had warned me about the accident. Rushing towards him, I called out, "Hey, it's you! What are you doing here?" He turned to face me, a wistful smile on his lips. "I came back to make sure you were safe. It seems our paths were destined to cross again." Confusion mixed with a surge of emotions as I tried to comprehend his words. "But you said you were from the future. How is this possible?" He took a step closer, his eyes filled with sincerity. "Time is a complex web of possibilities. Sometimes when you change the course of events, new paths open up, and in this new timeline, we found each other again." I stood there, speechless, trying to wrap my mind around the notion that fate had brought us together once more. "So, what now?" I finally managed to ask. He reached out and gently took my hand. "Now, we create our future together. As we walked hand in hand, I couldn't help but feel that sometimes the most unexpected twists and turns in life were the ones that led us to exactly where we were meant to be.